Hello everyone, welcome to vPower. This is Anupam. Today we are going to install DCOS. We are just going to give an overview of what exactly DCOS is, and we'll be deploying it in our lab. My lab is a little smaller in configuration, but DCOS is like for a large scale deployment. You might be also wondering and maybe confused that why I am moving my videos, whatever I'm making nowadays, from a VM based solution to a container based solution. And I think it's a good time that everybody understand that market is shifting, and the next big thing is going to be containerized solution. And that's the reason VMware has also acquired PKS, Pivotal, so called. And in fact, in this VMware world, they have said that they will be giving the ESXi with container solutions inside that. I'll not go deep inside now, but soon I'm going to send an invite to a few of the people whom I know or done a session before for why exactly containers, where are we standing right now, and where should we start for container-based solution. Definitely we are a little late because a lot of organization has started the adoption of containers. I have also seen a few of the customers in my experience who are using aggressively in production for container-based solutions. So let's not waste much of time. We will jump directly to the video, but later on this video series, not in this video series, but I'll make a separate video for OpenShift, which is a rival to PKS. I will also make videos more on how should I better utilize this TCOS or what exactly this DevOps is. So I'll make more insight of DevOps area. If you're interested also to join my session, please leave your email ID in the comment section so that I can send it. Maybe another 15 to 20 days I'm going to do it from the video release. So let's jump to our slides and then do our lab. So what exactly DCOS is? How am I comparing it to my VMware ESXi? So if you talk about VMware ESXi, it sits on your physical hardware layer, and then you put your ESXi, then you put your virtual machines and or an operating system, and then you put your application. Whereas in DCOS, the OS layer has been abstracted and directly container-based solutions are being used. So you are omitting one of the layer in between. In this case of DCOS, the first is the base layer. DCOS can be executed or can run anywhere, either being a bare metal, virtual cloud, virtual or cloud, hybrid cloud solutions also can coexist with the DCOS deployment. The next is the middle layer is the Apache Mesos. It's the runtime where all your you can say tools or engine work for maintaining DCOS. It has features like self-healing, scale in, scale out, and all these features on the DCOS Mesos layer. And this is your application and service layer where you run all your containers, such as Docker containers. You can directly run Cassandra, Spark, or any kind of container-based solutions. You can directly run a Kubernetes solution. So how does it make a difference? So you might be having understanding that you build a virtual machine, install a CentOS on it, and then build a Kubernetes solution, right? But when you're using DCOS, you are directly putting your container-based Kubernetes solution over your Mesos. You do not spend time on building such kind of a use case or solution, you can say. So you don't have to get an expertise or a knowledge that I have to be an expert in security of Kubernetes or Cassandra or Docker, whatever you're implementing using this. You have all those configuration pre-built within the DCOS. You just request for it, customize it according to your utility, and yes, it's ready for you. Next is where do you run DCOS? Definitely you can run locally on a virtual machine. You can run over a cloud. You can have even a custom clouds, or you can run in a hybrid model. You can also run in on-prem solutions. You have a vast option, and you can even scale it between the cloud and the on-prem. I'm going to show you a video which will be of some odd 5 to 10 minutes. This is an introductory video about DCOS. It's mandatory to have an understanding why do we need a DCOS at this scenario in this world. This video I have taken it from directly from DCOS. Quite an interesting and nice animation and easy to understand format they have made it. So let's jump to that video. Post that video, I'll continue with my slide, and then we'll do our demo.
Today's enterprises need to engage a lot of users, process real-time data at scale, and roll out services fast. This means modern apps with containers and big data. But modern apps can be challenging to operate and consume a lot of resources. Mesosphere Enterprise Data Center Operating System, DCOS, makes running modern apps as easy as using a single computer, providing a unified platform for running distributed systems of containers and big data services elastically. Enterprise DCOS powers modern enterprise apps on-premises and in the cloud, allowing you to manage tens to thousands of machines from anywhere with greater efficiency, speed, reliability, and elasticity. Here's how. Typical data services are clustered to always expect peak demand. So if a host is at 10% utilization, 90% goes to waste. With Enterprise DCOS, you can pool distributed stateful services, drastically increasing utilization and saving you millions in hardware or cloud services costs. Then there's deployment. Right now, if you want to deploy services like Spark, Kafka, and Cassandra, you've got to read an entire book and get a bunch of experts involved. Enterprise DCOS simplifies it to a single click or command, and boom, those services are reliably deployed across your data center. What about host failure? When services and static partitions fail, your team goes into crisis mode. Enterprise DCOS has automatic failure detection and recovery. So if there's a failure, it's taken care of pronto. Finally, scaling up and down is usually a huge task with complex configurations and infrastructure management. With Enterprise DCOS, you can scale up and down with a click of a button without downtime and data loss. This is the future of data center management. So why not start now? Go to mesosphere.com to get started today.
So hope you have liked the video. You have got little understanding that why are we needing DCOS, why there is so much of requirement or shift is required moving from my traditional data centers where we have operating systems and then applications to my container-based solution. I think you have a pretty much good understanding how exactly DCOS works. Now let's talk about how my lab looks. Generally, I should be having one bootstrap node, multiple master agent nodes. But in my case, I am just having one of each because it's a small lab. I don't have much enough resources to run multiple nodes of it. So in my case, I'm just going to have one master and two agent nodes. So how do we install it? So installation of DCOS is easy, I will say, but you should have a clear understanding how should we do a proper installation. Where do we begin? How exactly this installation happens? So it's necessary to have a clear understanding how you have to take a right approach for your installation. In my case, I am doing an enterprise-based solution, which is an open source, not a enterprise-based and enterprise one. Okay. Enterprise one is a license-based installation where you have to request to DCOS to give you the setup file, which I don't have. I'm just using an open source based installation. Now, what do you have first? The first is your bootstrap node. Bootstrap node is a node where you have all your config files. Then the next you have is your master node. What happens is your bootstrap node will contain all your configuration. you have to jump down to your master node and pull the configuration and do the setup. Whatever the configuration is required, Bootstrap node will be having. It is just push to master node. It takes some time. It get configured by itself. In a similar fashion, agent nodes work. So your Bootstrap node has everything. You run a Docker instance here of Nginx, and the time you execute an Nginx, it will copy your configurations file to your master either or agent nodes, and then you execute that configuration file or a bash file, which will do your entire setup. It's pretty easy. It's just that you have to understand what exactly is needed at the configuration file at the Bootstrap. It's very important that you meet all the prerequisites and have a proper configuration. You are doing an similar kind of installation on your master node agents also. So let's see what are the prerequisites are. So this prerequisite is for all the three nodes, either being a Bootstrap node, master node, or agent node. Mainly Bootstrap node is needed for only during installation, upgrade, or any kind of a changes. Or basically your master node or agent nodes hook up together and make your DCOS infrastructure. In the first and the foremost thing, you have to install the prerequisites. You have to disable firewalls, stop the DNS services, time sync, install Dockers, install data compression, cluster permissions you have to check. You have to add Docker into groups, no groups, and some other language requirements. This is something which you have to do on a Bootstrap node. You have to download two particular files here. In your master and agent node, you just have to create an directory opt mesosphere, or else it auto creates also for you. But if it's already created, it doesn't make much difference. This is a part where you have to have a very clear understanding how my file structure in the Bootstrap node should look like. It should be like your DCOS genconfig file, where not a genconf, the tar file, which is your main file. It should also have a DCOS generate configuration file, which will generate a configuration file with the help of config.yaml, ipdetect public. Okay. Now these are the key files which you have to work on. Now, when we talk about DCOS genconfig, the tar file, you can download it from the URL. I'll just mention all these commands on my comment section, in my description section. In a similar way, you have to download your genconfig.sh. Henceforth, create this folder called genconf, and inside that, you're supposed to create a config.yaml. In that config.yaml, you have to have a configuration which is similar to it. I'll customize it according and based on my requirements when I'm doing so. In a similar way, you have to have an IP detect. Ensure that your ENS 128 or whatever your IP sets are, you're using that, okay? Because it has to return the IP address of your NIC card, right? Also, you need an IP detect for the public. So what you're using your public network to, you have to define any IP which is targeting your public. In my case, I'm just going to use my master IP. That is going to be all my IPs for any communication. So once your master will be ready, okay, let me jump into this first. Installation, you generate your configuration file with the help of this. You run then a Docker file, Docker Nginx. This is going to copy your entire configuration generated to your Nginx server. You jump into your master node. In your master node, you do a curl, download the DCOS install.sh configuration file. You execute that with the extension here with the parameter master for the master server, slave for the slave server, and the slave public for the slave public server. Once the installation is done, you have to wait for the master. You have to see the zookeeper, all the services. Once it shows up running good, that means you're good. Eventually, once you log into your DCOS node, I will show you the lab. You will see your slaves there, that everything is working good. Without wasting much of your time, let me jump to the lab and run all of these configuration one by one. Okay. Hmm. Let me run on my agents as well. I think I don't have the following service running, but still I'll cross check. As we can see, it's failed. This is not loaded, so I don't need to execute this. You have to just make sure your time sync is done. In my case, it is done. I'm going to install Dockers on all my nodes. Looks like there is some connectivity issue. My Docker packages are getting updated wherever required. Installation is also happening. Awesome. So do this as well. Now execute the same on my master node. I think was the Docker already installed on this? Finish. Okay. Um, systemctl. Now, one of our prerequisite install Docker has been done. We'll install data compression. Let me do the same thing on my master. On my agent nodes. It's done. Now, we do need to check that what's a cluster permission. SLNX status is enabled. So current mode. So either current mode disabled, permissive, or enforcing is allowed. So we have enabled checked. Core OS. So what we need to do is we need to change this current mode is enforcing. That's fine. This is what we needed. And this is what it is. So that's fine. We don't have to do anything. A similar command we have to execute on all the nodes. We have to check that the current status, oh my god, I'm sorry. It is enforcing current mode. Agent also, yes. Now we will add this. Okay, now looks good. Make sure that the language configured is same. All good. Next job is to download these on the bootstrap nodes, which I will do in my installation phase. Also make sure that you are creating this folder on your master nodes and agents. Okay. Now let's jump and make sure that we have our bootstrap node in the following fashion. Right? Let me clear this once. So we will do here curl and download it. Problem is it's a capital C. My bad. It should be.
It's 10 o'clock.
wget yum install wget. So let it download. It's a very big file. Whatever action we need to take right now is only on a bootstrap node. I assume it's somewhere around 800 MB or 900 MB file. I might be wrong. Let me copy the next command. So guys, again, it depends upon every release of DCOS, commands keep changing. So if you're watching this video maybe after a year or two, it might be possible the command what you're seeing right now not be much useful. What you need to do is very simple. Jump to DCOS installation page. So what we're trying to install is a production-based one. This is what we spoke about. Not the development, neither the evolution mode. You have all your prerequisites, whatever you have. Just make sure that you're meeting all your prerequisites. Advanced configurations. If you want to look at the advanced configurations of all your files, which I'm going to do right now. Also deploying DCOS, production installation. So you'll get all your commands here. Just make sure that you are using a right version of your documentation. I'm using the latest one, so there are a few other steps. If you're seeing this enterprise, right? This is not we are doing. We are just installing production, which is an open source one. So you have enterprise and open source. You have to follow only the open source based. This is an enterprise template or config.yaml. We'll go ahead and see that. Let's see. Download is done. Okay, we'll do the next step. You can even come here, you can just follow this and you can do it. Just copy and execute it. For us, we have got the first one, we have got the generate.config file also. Now we are going to create genconfig folder. Let me type by myself. I don't want to do that. Being lazy. Oh, I got little like, am I doing in my master node? No, it's just a highlight. It is a little confusing here that what you select and what you're actually working on are two different things. Okay, now let me create a directory. Okay, let's go to cd genconfig. Now we'll create one time all these files. Now we have to make a note of my master node. What's my IP of master node? Will update according to our need. In my case, I have my master node IP as IPADDR ENS33, and it is 134.22 dot. So we have 22.2.134. If I am not right, 2.34, and it is called ENS33. ENS33, right? In a similar way, we have to also check what does this have, IPADDR. I assume they should also have ENS33. The reason why? Because it gives you the same IP address. Yes, looks pretty good to me. Now this is 134. My resolver is 192.168.0.105. That's my resolver IP. I'm not sure it's gonna resolve it, but yes, most probably yes, it's gonna resolve it. 92.168.0.105. Yes, it can. स्नेहा लैपटॉप का चार्जर चाहिए. Bootstrap URL. My Bootstrap URL is 22.2.139. 139. Just a second, guys. I'll put my laptop on charge. Okay, 2.139. 2.139. Port 8080. False, I'm not having any proxy, so I'm not using it. So let's run down my Bootstrap URL server, whatever the cluster name you want to give it, executor storage backend static, master discovery static, IP detect file, which is here my public one, master list, which is my master server IP. I have given that. my resolver and the proxy information. Let me update this, copy this, and create vi config dot imo. Right, insert. My command looks good. If I'm not wrong, then you can see the symbols here for the open source. Let me save this. Let's go back, update our IP detect sheet. Let me copy all of them. Insert. Save it. Make sure that you're having in a similar way. Everything you can find it in your this website. Now let me add vi IP. Right. This one is .sh. .sh. I will make this as 22.2.134, which is my master. Insert. Done. If I will see, unless you can see my file config.yaml ipdetect.sh, which is in a similar fashion config.yaml ipdetect.public.sh, right? Let me go back, and I have my generate config.sh and DCOS generate.sh file also there, right? We'll go back and jump to this. We are going to now extract and create the configuration file. Let me see, yeah, if there should not be anything missing here. It will take some time because files are quite large in size. So next thing what I am going to do after this is going to run a Docker for Nginx. So whatever port 8080 I have given here, make sure you are having the same thing here, port 8080. If you are specifying, suppose your port 8080 is used, you want to use 8001 or XYZ whatever, make sure you're also updating the bootstrap URL here. Yes, it's done. Now time to run my Nginx container. It's not downloaded. Either what you can do is you can directly pull it, docker pull Nginx. You could have done this task a little early as well. It could have saved some minutes of time or seconds. Done. Now I'm going to run, and it's voila, my Docker We can see our Nginx container running. Now we have to jump to our master node. Let's clear this. Our folder is created. It's time to copy the configuration file .sh. Oh, my bad, because I am copying it from the wrong URL. I just mentioned, right? I changed my, let me do one thing. I will change in my file here itself. 139 to, so this is what my is. Just check my bootstrap IP 139. Yes, this is what it is. Done. It was a piece of cake only. I don't know. So I just mentioned my wrong IP address. Now here's the tricky part. Just to run this and wait for until unless the service comes up. You can see everything is pass creating. We have to wait. My URL should be up. Okay, it's taking a little more time for that URL to be up, but this service is running. Oh, really? The reason why it's not running because I am using a wrong IP. IP ADDR. My IP is, I can see my master IP is 134, and that's the reason it was not opening. I'm sorry guys, I think it was up long time before. 134 colon, yes, it's up. If this is up, then let's jump to our, my DCOS is up. So meanwhile, so you can see my DCOS is up. Let me complete my other task of adding the agent nodes. This is my first agent. And I will do this as the public one. Awesome. Meanwhile, let's go to it and see our DCS login page. So this is the complete DCOS setup. Once you log in, you can see all your nodes. I'm going to make a separate video after logging to DCOS and how can we use a DCOS. So that's the upcoming video from it. For now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section. And also, to get the live notification, you can press the bell icon. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day.